Apple stock is up over 330% in the last 5 years and over 15% in the last year. The share price is currently sitting at $213, and the company is currently valued at $3.2 trillion. I've been an Apple shareholder since January of 2020, and I currently own 14 shares at an average price of $143. Apple just hosted probably their biggest worldwide developer conference of all time and made some pretty big announcements like visionOS 2, which includes Kung Fu Panda, guided meditation, SAP analytics, and surgical simulation, which I think we can all agree the medical applications are pretty cool. They also finally announced some things around AI branded as Apple Intelligence, and the iPad officially now has a calculator. There's also some recent negativity to go over, like Elon Musk threatening to ban Apple products in his companies, declining revenues, and increased smartphone competition. In this video, we're going to talk about what you need to know as an investor if you are currently a shareholder or if you're thinking about buying. We'll talk about the good and the bad, and in the end, I'll tell you what my plan is with my personal position in the stock. If you're new to the channel, my name is Sheldon, and I've been actively managing my own portfolio for a little over 4.5 years now, and I make YouTube videos talking about stocks. If you're interested in growing your own stock portfolio, then subscribe and check out some of the other videos on my channel. I talk about the market and transparently show what I invest in, and the hope is that we can all build our portfolios together. But let's get right into it, and let's start with the biggest red flag of Apple stock right now, and it's the fact that they have declining revenues. So if we take a look at their latest annual report from 2023, we can see that their total net sales is down around $11 billion. It's primarily due to a reduction of 27% in their Mac sales. iPhone sales dropped 2%, which is around $5 billion. iPad, 3%. Wearable home and accessories, 3% as well. And then services actually kind of came in to save the day and increased a whole 9%. And if we pull up their latest quarterly earnings report from 2024, which is Q2, unfortunately, it doesn't actually look like it's getting any better. And if we look at the 3 months ended, so this would be Q1, again, they were down around $4 billion of sales in that first quarter. And then 6 months ended, they're starting to come back a little bit, and it's pretty close now, honestly, but they're still down about $1 billion. It's also interesting to look at net sales by geography, and since the beginning of the year in 2024, under this 6 months ended category, they've lost the most amount of sales in China, which is interesting. I think there's definitely some increased competition coming from over there. And they've had a decrease of about $4 billion from the same sales that they did last year up until this point of the year. And so the main driver of the decrease in revenue for Apple, if we look at market share here of smartphones, in Q4 of 2023, Apple had 62% market share and Samsung only had 17%. And then if we move to Q1 of 2024, Apple went down to 52%. And Samsung actually went up to 31%. And guys, these are the numbers that are actually important. And as a long-term Apple shareholder, it's exactly what I'm paying attention to. Obviously, declining revenue numbers and declining market share is not a good thing. And if those trends continue, it can definitely negatively affect the stock price long-term. And I'll get into the reasons why I still like the company long-term and I still believe in the stock. But I wanted to say that these are the important numbers that you should be paying attention to. But obviously, it's not a great thing that Elon is threatening to ban Apple products at his companies. You know, honestly, I think this has more to do with Elon's beef with OpenAI than it does Apple. And Apple's kind of just catching strays by being in the middle of it. I think there's a good chance that this doesn't actually happen because I think a lot of his employees probably really like Apple products. But I guess it could, and it's a risk to keep in mind because when Elon Musk speaks, people listen. The last negative that I'm going to touch on is that some people just don't like Apple products because they are very proprietary and they can definitely be pretty expensive. A lot of the time, you're going to need like expensive dongles from Mac just to do things on your laptop, and I agree it's stupid. But these are just some things to keep in mind. I think it's a good idea to look at all the negatives of a company if you're looking at investing in it or if you're a current shareholder like myself. With that being said, let's get into why I still believe in it as an investment. First of all, the bottom line, and really the main reason I hold the stock, is I just think they make the highest quality technology products in the world targeted to your average everyday consumer. I have personally been an Apple customer for a very long time, ever since I got my first iPod. And then I started getting their iPhones, and I'm going to continue to be a customer because I just like their product so much. Even the face shots that you see in this video are recorded from my iPhone. You know, I have a MacBook, I have an Apple Watch, I have AirPods. I'm pretty far into the Apple ecosystem, and everything integrates really well and really easily together. And I do think that Apple's going to get back to growing their revenue numbers, and I just believe in the company. It's also just like the little things. Like every time I walk by the Apple store in the mall, it's completely packed. And, you know, if you just like scroll around their website and look around their website, their branding is absolutely amazing. They're also now publicly on the AI train with the release of Apple Intelligence. And I'd recommend you check out a lot of the highlights from the developer conference if you want more information on that. But I mean, get ready for a lot of AI to be integrated into all of the Mac operating systems. I think they're going to have just as good of AI as any other technology company out there. Like, they have some of the best talent in the world, and I definitely don't think they're lagging at all when it comes to the AI race. You know, they waited a little bit to release their artificial intelligence products, but, you know, they wanted to do it right, and they wanted to brand it right and hit the market running. And I think their technology is going to be just as innovative, if not more innovative, than pretty much every other big company. And if we take a look at Yahoo Finance, like I said at the beginning of the video, it's a $3.27 trillion company, which is pretty much the biggest company in the world. And if you're a $3 trillion company operating at a 26% profit margin with $6 billion of cash on your balance sheet, you know, I don't think you're going anywhere anytime soon. And yes, they're operating at declining revenue numbers, but I believe in Tim Cook. You know, he's been there not quite since the beginning, but he joined Apple really early on. He worked with Steve Jobs pretty closely, and I do believe that he has the vision to continue to drive Apple forward as one of the biggest brands in the world and get back to some growth numbers for the company. So to take a look at my personal position in the stock, you know, it's slightly smaller than some of my other positions at just under 10%. And honestly, I don't really expect their stock price to really grow a lot in the next few years. I think they do need to get back to some revenue growth numbers, and I think they will, which is why I still continue to hold the stock. But I'm also not buying any more shares right now. They're now a little bit of an AI company, and like I've said in other videos, I do not need any more AI stocks. If you look at my portfolio, you know, Meta, Palantir, Google, Apple, like I need to start diversifying here a little bit, and that's kind of why I've been bringing Nike up into my top couple stocks here. So I don't plan on building out my Apple position right now. I'm not going to sell any shares, but I'm just going to sit on it for the long term, and I still think it's a good investment for the long term, you know, 5-10 years from now. But I'm interested to know what you guys think of the stock. You know, I know it's not the most loved stock in the market. So drop a comment below because I'm curious as to what your opinion is, whether you like Apple or not. Let me know if you have any video suggestions on specific stocks you want to see or any feedback on the video. I wish everybody the best of luck on their investment journey. Peace.